Okay, so think about all those industries, right, where even the tiniest mistake, just a small slip up, can have like massive consequences.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking aviation, energy, the really cutting edge manufacturing, the stuff where the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, they put a ton of effort into safety, right? It's not like they're messing around.
Oh, for sure.
But here's the thing, like, for anyone trying to actually understand how they make these crazy complex systems actually safe, like, where do you even start? You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's mountains of regulations, training manuals, incident reports. You can just drown in information.
Oh, absolutely. You get that feeling of just being completely overwhelmed. Like, am I ever going to really get this?
Yeah, exactly. That feeling of just like information overload.
Right.
That's a real problem. And it kind of brings us to what we're diving into today.
Okay.
It's like, how do we go beyond just the usual safety training? The stuff everyone does, the kind of like check the box exercises. We want to get deeper. We want to talk about the professionalization of safety.
Yes. That's exactly it. We're not talking about just ticking boxes on a checklist, right?
Right.
This is about a whole different way of thinking about safety. And for this deep dive, well, we've got this really interesting collection of ideas from a book called Beyond Safety Training.
Such a good book.
And you know what really struck me about this book?
What's that?
It's not just like one expert's opinion,
Right.
It's this amazing mix of perspectives.
Yeah.
Like you've got academics from all these different fields,
Right.
management science, sociology, ergonomics, even like experts on how humans interact with these complex systems. But then right alongside them, you've got people who've actually worked in these high-risk industries.
Oh, yeah. The folks who like live and breathe this stuff every day.
Exactly. People from oil and gas, the power industry, transportation, you name it.
The people who actually know what it's like when things go wrong.
Yeah, because the stakes are so high. So for them, it's not just theory, right?
Right.
It's literally life or death. And that's what makes this book so valuable, right?
It's that mix.
Yeah, that blend of academic rigor and practical, on-the-ground experience. It makes it so much more insightful.
So true.
And they didn't just, like, present their own views in isolation, you know?
Yeah.
They actually sat down together and really challenged each other's ideas, like really dug deep.
Oh, wow.
They compared different approaches, debated the pros and cons,
Yeah.
and that back and forth is what led to such a rich understanding of safety.
I mean, way more than any one person could come up with on their own.
Oh, for sure. And get this, they even held an entire international seminar as part of this project.
Really?
Yeah, so they brought together all these experts from around the world to like really foster a global dialogue about safety.
It's so cool how they approached this, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just sitting in a room writing a book. It was like a real collaborative effort.
Totally.
So for you, the listener, like the whole goal of our deep dive today is to pull out the absolute most important insights from this book. You know what I mean? Like this powerhouse of knowledge.
Yeah.
We don't want to get bogged down in all the nitty-gritty rules and regs.
Right.
We want to really understand how organizations can build this strong safety culture. And not just culture, but like how they actually improve how people work together on the ground, day to day.
Yeah, that's the key, right? It's not just about talking about safety, it's about making it happen.
Exactly. And to do that, well, we're going to look at how everyone contributes. Individuals, teams, leaders.
Okay.
We're even going to question like how we design safety training itself.
Interesting.
Right. So the book starts by like laying out these two very different ways of thinking about safety.
Okay, so two different approaches.
Two totally different approaches. Yeah.
Right.
Like from the ground up. So can you walk us through those core approaches?
Sure. So the first approach sees safety as something that's like woven into the very fabric of how work gets done every day. Okay.
It's not some separate thing,
Not like a separate department or something.
Right. It's more like it emerges naturally from the routines, the established ways of doing things, the organizational systems, even the unspoken knowledge that people pick up over time.
So it's almost like it becomes second nature.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
part of how things are done,
Yeah.
without even really thinking about it as like safety. And the key idea here is that safety is constantly being maintained and improved through people spotting and fixing small issues as they go.
So they're not waiting for like a big incident to happen.
No. It's like this ongoing process of course correction. It's almost like safety is more managed internally organically than being strictly dictated by, like, a bunch of external rules.
So it's not just about following the rule book.
Right. It's more about building safety into the way people think and work every day.
Interesting. Okay, so that's one approach. What about the second one?
The second approach is probably what most people think of when they hear the word safety,
Yeah.
like the traditional view.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
hard hats and warning signs.
Right. It's the dedicated safety departments, the safety officers with their clipboards, the endless procedures, the safety talks that are like constantly reminding everyone to be careful.
Okay, so that very visible kind of safety.
Exactly. This approach really emphasizes the formal, visible signs of a commitment to safety.
Policies and procedures.
Exactly. But the book points out this really interesting challenge with this approach.
What's that?
It's often really hard to tell how much these very visible actions actually impact what happens on the ground day to day.
Oh, interesting. So just because you have all the procedures, it doesn't mean people are actually following them.
Right. You can have all the signs and the procedures in the world, but it doesn't automatically translate to people being safer in their actual work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's that gap between, like, what's on paper and what's actually happening.
Exactly.
So this kind of brings us to this, like, really fundamental question, right? In these industries where the stakes are so high, like, what actually keeps people safe?
Right.
Is it those deeply ingrained habits, the routines that they do without even thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it the formal rules, the constant training?
Yeah.
It feels like, you could argue it both ways.
You absolutely could, and that's exactly what the book does. It highlights what it calls a contradictory injunction.
A contradictory injunction.
Yeah, it's a fancy way of saying that safety efforts often face these two conflicting demands.
Okay, two conflicting demands.
Right. So on one hand, you have this internal need for effectiveness.
Right, like, do these safety measures actually work?
Exactly. Are they preventing accidents? Are they leading to better outcomes?
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, you have this external pressure to show that you're doing something about safety.
So you need to prove it to someone.
Exactly. You need to show evidence to regulators, the public, all those stakeholders. It's not just about being safe. It's about being seen to be safe.
So you almost have to, like, perform safety.
In a way, yeah.
And those two things, they don't always line up, do they?
No, not always. And the book suggests that the actions that really get to the heart of how work is done, the ones that address the really complex factors that contribute to safety, well, those are often the hardest to measure and show as evidence to outsiders.
So they're kind of invisible.
Yeah, in a way. But the formal stuff, like documented procedures, training records.
That's easy to track.
Exactly. That's easy to communicate, easy to use to show that you're accountable.
Oh, I see. So you end up with this situation where companies might focus on the things that make them look safe on paper, even if those things aren't necessarily what's actually making them safe in practice.
Right, exactly. It's almost like the performance of safety can overshadow the actual substance of it.
That's a really good way to put it. Okay, so the book then goes on to explore this idea of safety as something that emerges from practice,
Yeah.
which I thought was a really fascinating concept.
It is. It's this idea, really strongly championed by Girardi, that says safety isn't just a fixed set of rules that you hand down from above. It's this constantly evolving thing that comes out of how a particular group of professionals actually goes about their work day in and day out.
So it's like safety is a verb.
In a way, yeah. It's described as a collective knowledgeable doing.
Collective knowledgeable doing.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. But basically what it means is that safety is baked into the very way people do their jobs together. It's in their shared understanding of how things work.
So it's not just about what one individual knows. It's about the shared knowledge and actions of the whole team.
Exactly. And this has some big implications for how we think about studying and improving safety.
Okay, so how do we study it then?
Well, it means we need to look at what they call situated working practices.
Situated working practices.
Yeah, so basically how work is actually done in its real context, with all its messiness and complexity. We can't just try to pull out some abstract safety knowledge and expect it to apply perfectly everywhere.
So you can't just, like, copy and paste safety from one place to another.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Because every workplace has its own quirks.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes how important those local details are.
Like what?
Like the specific details of the environment, the ability to adapt to unexpected situations, and the combined experience and practical know-how of the workers themselves. All of that is crucial for building resilience.
It makes sense, right? Like you can't just take a safety manual from one oil rig and expect it to work perfectly on another one halfway across the world.
Exactly.
Different conditions, different people, different everything.
Right. And then the book also highlights this idea of how safety knowledge is acquired through being part of what's called a community of practice.
A community of practice.
Yeah, and this is about emphasizing that the practical knowledge that people gain on the job, well, that's not less important than formal training.
It's like apprenticeship almost.
Yeah, kind of. It's about learning by doing and being part of a group that values and practices safety as part of who they are.
So it's not just about absorbing information. It's about developing a shared way of doing things, a shared identity almost.
Exactly. You become a safe worker by being part of a group that prioritizes safety, you know?
It's like a cultural thing.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, so we've talked about safety emerging from practice and communities of practice.
Mhm.
The book also mentions that safety itself can be seen as a knowledge object.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's this idea that safety isn't this single, fixed, universally understood thing. It's
Yeah.
more like different professional groups within an organization, they understand and define safety in their own ways.
Oh, so like engineers might have a different definition of safety than, say, the operators who are actually doing the work.
Exactly. Each group, whether it's engineers, operators, safety managers,
Mm-hmm.
they all look at safety through their own particular lens, you know? And they talk about it using their own language, what the book calls safety discourses.
Safety discourses.
Yeah. So engineers might be really focused on safety from a technical design perspective, right?
Uh-huh.
While operators might be more concerned with the immediate practical challenges of staying safe while actually doing the work.
And because those groups have different priorities, different ways of seeing things,
Right.
it can lead to conflict.
It absolutely can. The workplace can become what they call a contested terrain, where these different ways of understanding and talking about safety clash.
A contested terrain?
Yeah. It can even lead to what's described as a dialogue of the deaf, you know, where people are talking, but they're not really understanding each other.
Oh, yeah, I've definitely seen that happen.
It happens a lot, right? And it's one of the big challenges in creating a truly safe work environment.
Because if you can't even agree on what safety means, how can you work together to achieve it?
Exactly. So learning to work safer actually involves understanding and comparing these different perspectives, you know?
Yeah, you got to get everyone on the same page.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the role of rules, standards, and technology in all of this.
Okay.
Because it feels like those are often seen as like the pillars of safety.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're definitely presented as the go-to solutions a lot of the time. And the book acknowledges that, you know.
Okay.
It acknowledges that regulatory bodies, prevention agencies, they often promote safety through rules and technology.
Because it seems like the obvious way to do it, right?
It does. And the goal is to control how work is done from a distance
Right.
by setting up these formal mechanisms.
So like you set a rule, you mandate a certain piece of technology,
Mhm.
and then you expect that to create a safer environment.
Exactly. And there's often a very close link between the technology that's being offered and the official guidelines for how things should be done.
So the technology almost becomes a way to enforce the rules.
In a way, yeah.
But the book points out that this isn't always a smooth process, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Because people are unpredictable.
Exactly. So the people who actually have to use this technology, they might find ways to adapt it to fit their existing routines.
Oh, so they might not use it exactly the way it was intended.
Right. They might find shortcuts, or they might use it in a way that makes their job easier or faster, even if it means like bypassing some of the safety features.
Oh, wow. That creates a problem then, doesn't it?
It can, because you have the designers with one idea, the users with another, and then the regulators step in to try and enforce the intended use.
That's like a three-way tug of war.
It can be, yeah. And to prevent this reinterpretation of technology, well, regulatory agencies and the legal system often reinforce the technology through inspections and standards.
So it's like they're trying to close those loopholes.
Exactly. And this creates a lot of pressure to use equipment in the specific ways that have been officially prescribed.
Okay, so what happens when people just, like, ignore the rules or the technology?
The book talks about this as a real strategy that happens sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, like people just kind of ignoring certain protocols or tests. Wow.
And then, of course, you have enforcement agencies and motivational campaigns trying to counter that.
So it's like an arms race almost.
In a way, yeah. And they often use ideas around progress or worker well-being to try and get people to comply.
Because no one wants to be seen as like anti-progress or anti-worker.
Exactly. But even then, you could still get pushback.
Especially from like unions who might be concerned about how these technologies or regulations are affecting their members.
Oh, absolutely. It can become a very contentious issue.
So it seems like it's this constant negotiation, this balancing act between all these different forces.
It really is.
Okay, so how do we bridge this gap then?
Okay, so how do we bridge the gap between these top-down approaches and what's actually happening on the ground in the real world of work?
Yeah, how do we get everyone on the same page?
Well, the book really emphasizes the importance of collaboration.
Collaboration.
Yeah, working closely with the people who are actually doing the work,
And not just working with them, but also engaging in what's called reflexivity.
Reflexivity.
It's a fancy word, but it basically means taking a step back and critically thinking about your own practices.
Oh, interesting.
It's about being willing to question your own assumptions, to really examine how things are done and why. And this can help to uncover the practical knowledge that's often hidden within those everyday practices. And once you bring that knowledge to the surface, well, then you can start to turn it into useful knowledge that can actually lead to real changes.
So it's not just about imposing rules from above. It's about learning from the people who are actually doing the work and using their insights to make things better.
Exactly. And a big part of that is creating an environment where people feel comfortable speaking up,
So they can share their concerns, their suggestions, without feeling like they're going to get in trouble.
Exactly. It's about building trust and open communication.
Okay, now let's move on to this idea of professionalization in safety.
Okay, yeah.
It seems like this is a really central theme in the book,
It is.
but it also feels like it can mean a lot of different things to different people.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very complex concept. And the book highlights how the meaning of professionalization can vary depending on where you are, even within the same company.
So what makes someone a professional in the context of safety?
Right. That's a big question. Is it just about having the right certifications, or is it something more than that?
It's definitely more than that. It's about acting ethically, adhering to high technical standards, and using your judgment and experience to make decisions in specific situations, not just blindly following the rules.
So it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about knowing when and how to apply them.
Exactly.
And the book suggests that this can lead to a lot of debate about who actually gets to decide what's safe and how it should be done.
Oh, for sure. You can have tension between safety specialists who might be seen as like external experts and middle managers who are much more embedded in the day-to-day work.
And both of them might consider themselves professionals. Exactly. And then you have all these moral considerations, the different interests of different groups. It can become quite messy. And often company leadership or even legal authorities have to step in to try and mediate these disputes.
It's almost like a power struggle sometimes.
It can be, yeah. And then the book brings in the role of departments like HR.
Oh, interesting.
So HR often develops company-wide standards and procedures.
Right, to create consistency across the organization.
Exactly, and they expect local managers to follow those standards meticulously.
Makes sense. But the book suggests that this can have some unintended negative consequences.
It can, because when these central departments have a lot of power through these standards, it can limit the ability of local managers to make decisions that are best suited for their specific situations.
So they might know what's best, but they don't have the authority to do it.
Right. And it can also make it harder to have open and honest discussions about whether the rules actually make sense or are effective in a particular context.
Like they're afraid to speak up.
Yeah, sometimes.
So what's the solution then?
The book argues for more two-way communication.
Two-way communication.
Yeah, where feedback from the people doing the work is actually taken seriously and used to inform decision-making.
So it's not just about rules flowing down, it's about information flowing up as well.
Exactly. It's about creating a more collaborative approach to safety.
Okay, so we've heard from management, we've heard from specialists. What about the perspective of the people who are actually doing the work, day in and day out?
Right, the people on the front lines.
Yeah, because the book has a chapter that seems to present a much more skeptical view of this top-down professionalization of safety.
It does. And this chapter really captures the voice of the operator who's feeling increasingly burdened by more rules, more audits, more paperwork, all this stuff that doesn't always align with what they're actually experiencing on the job.
And they're probably thinking, this isn't making me any safer.
Exactly. And the argument is that management often tries to replace the practical knowledge and experience of skilled workers with this strict adherence to abstract rules and standards.
So they're trying to systematize everything.
Right. It's like just follow the checklist and everything will be fine.
But the reality is always messier than that.
Oh, absolutely. And this is seen as a continuation of this trend that's been happening for a while now, where management tries to control and standardize everything.
Like they're taking the human element out of it.
Yeah, in a way. And the operators are saying, hold on, that's not how it works in the real world.
So how do they think professionalization should happen?
Well, they believe that true professional standing comes from within their own community of peers.
Okay.
It's about being recognized for your skills and experience by the people who know the work best.
So it's about respect from your colleagues, not just from management.
Exactly.
And the managers in the book do offer a counter-argument to this, right?
Yeah, they do. And their argument is essentially that they have to demonstrate compliance with all these external norms and regulations.
Right. They're accountable to regulators, to the public.
Exactly. And they also have to meet the expectations of all these stakeholders, customers, investors. So it's not just about what they think is best, it's about meeting all these external demands.
It's a tough position to be in.
It is.
Now, the book also looks at ways to integrate safety more deeply into the skills of all professionals, not just safety specialists, but everyone. And one idea that stood out was this concept of chronic unease.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Because at first glance, it seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
It does.
Shouldn't we be aiming for a sense of calm and control in these high-risk environments?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But this idea of chronic unease comes from studying organizations that operate with incredibly high levels of reliability. Like, think air traffic control, nuclear power plants, places where even small mistakes can have catastrophic consequences.
Right.
And one of the key characteristics of these organizations is this constant awareness of potential risks, this feeling that even small deviations from the norm could be a sign of something bigger.
So it's about never letting your guard down, even when everything seems to be going well.
Exactly. It's about actively avoiding complacency. And the goal is to apply this mindset not just to how people do their jobs, but also to how managers think and make decisions.
Because managers can get complacent too.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if everything's been running smoothly for a while.
Yeah. So this chronic unease, it's about maintaining that vigilance, that awareness of potential problems, even when things seem to be fine.
Exactly. But the book does caution against too much unease, because that can lead to anxiety, to paralysis.
Right. It can be counterproductive.
Exactly. So the goal is to find that sweet spot, that modicum of unease.
Modicum of unease. I like that.
It's about having enough concern to stay sharp, but not so much that it cripples you.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
And alongside this mindset, the book also emphasizes the importance of non-technical skills.
Yes.
And this is where they draw on the aviation industry's experience with crew resource management.
Exactly. CRM. So the aviation industry, after a series of tragic accidents, they realized that it wasn't enough to just train pilots in the technical aspects of flying.
Right.
They needed to focus on these other skills, these non-technical skills, as they're called.
Like what?
Things like communication, teamwork, decision-making under pressure. All those human factors that can make the difference between a safe flight and a disaster.
So it's not just about knowing how to fly the plane. It's about knowing how to work effectively with the other people in the cockpit.
Exactly. And CRM training became mandatory for pilots. And it's evolved over time, Now it's much more focused on building specific competencies and learning from past incidents.
So they're constantly adapting and improving it.
They are. And this approach, this focus on non-technical skills, it's now being adopted in other high-risk industries as well.
Like offshore oil and gas.
Exactly. After accidents like the Deepwater Horizon, people realized that these human factors were just as important in those industries as they were in aviation.
So it's about recognizing that even in these highly technical fields, it's still people who are making the decisions. And those people need to be trained to work together effectively.
Exactly.
Okay, so the book then moves on to look at the social practices of professionals and how those influence safety decisions. And this is about more than just individual skills, right?
Right. It's about recognizing that professionals are part of a larger community, a profession with its own norms and values.
And those norms and values can influence how they make decisions about safety.
Exactly. The book argues that how professionals make decisions about safety is shaped by things like how they learn from stories and how they develop and use standards.
So it's about the culture of the profession itself.
Yeah, very much so.
And storytelling seems to be a particularly important practice.
It is. Storytelling is presented as this really powerful way for professionals to learn from past events and prevent future disasters.
Because stories are how we make sense of the world, right?
Exactly. And sharing those stories, those narratives of what happened, it helps to create this shared understanding and pass on those lessons learned in a way that formal training often can't.
It's like you're not just learning the rules, you're learning the wisdom that comes with experience.
Right? And senior experienced people often use stories to support their professional judgments.
So it's not just about data and statistics, it's about the human element of those decisions.
Exactly. And it's especially important for developing what's called safety imagination.
Safety imagination.
Yeah, it's this awareness of the inherent uncertainties in any complex system and the need to be constantly vigilant.
So it's not just about following the rules, it's about being able to anticipate problems that the rules might not even cover.
Exactly.
And what about technical standards?
Okay, so technical standards.
Because we often think of those as being purely objective, right?
Yeah, we do. Like they're based on science and engineering.
Yeah.
But the book makes this really interesting point that even technical standards are actually social constructs.
Social constructs.
Yeah, because they're written by groups of people, right? People who have their own interests and perspectives.
Yep.
And what ends up in the standard is often the result of a lot of negotiation and compromise.
So it's not just about the pure science, it's about the human element of how those standards are created.
Exactly. And even how those standards are applied is influenced by the social norms of the organization.
So it's not just about what the standard says, it's about how people interpret it and use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the example of the Enbridge pipeline failure,